When we look at a sales process in business, one thing has to come first. You cannot rearrange the sequence, it won't work. You can't close a sale if you don't have a lead. So you literally have to go in a certain sequence. So sometimes people get upset, I'm not making sales, I'm not making money. Well, do you have any leads? Well, no. So really what you need to focus on is who do you need to become in order to start generating leads? And there are a million different ways to generate leads. So what specific way would you like to learn how to generate leads? Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks, Jonah, for the introduction. We current numbers 10,862 for May, so it was the best month we've ever had, and it's so exciting to be here with all of you today. I know that the leaders who've been coming out and sharing their trainings for this monthly kickoff call so far in 2024 have been doing an outstanding job. So I just want to give a shout out to all the leaders who've already, added value to the Enagic community. And I didn't prepare any slides today, so maybe I could just go and just show this pretty 9.5 face for this call. But I wanted to basically give you guys an opportunity to connect in the chat, say what's up, how you doing, how you're feeling. Let me know where you're calling in from. I like to know who I'm speaking to, or else my training is going to be not as effective, right? So what we'll do real fast, I know there's a lot of people on this call, but what I'd love to see real quick is where you're calling in from, first question. Second question is what rank are you right now in the business? Just quickly pop it in so I can see roughly where we're at. I know we got a lot of newer people, 1As, 2As, 3As, 4As. Awesome. I was practicing my speed reading right before this training, and it's going pretty good so far. Fantastic. And the other question that I want to ask you guys right out of the start here is if you could solve one thing in your business right now that you're struggling with, what would that one thing be? Pop that into the chat for me as well. Where I wanted to start, I have a few notes here, and I wanted to start with everybody's identity and how you see yourself in this business. I've been around for 16 years with Enagic, which is pretty amazing. So I got my machine from my mother in 2008. I was dealing with a lot of health issues, and the water helped, get my body working back in homeostasis. And it very quickly got me into a place where I was no longer suffering from the intense pain that I had in my stomach. But what I realized was that it wasn't until I shifted my identity, who I believed I was, and how I could serve and help other people, that I actually started to have success in Enagic. And a lot of the time, people have been around in this company for many, many years. They love Mr. Shiro, they love the company, they love the culture and the product, and they drink the water every day and all those amazing things. But they have a tough time actually growing a business. They have a tough time actually duplicating and finding individuals that are here to grow a business. From my experience, if your identity is someone who is too much leaning in one direction, then your business will just be an amplified, your business will be a mirror to your identity, and you'll just duplicate more of that. So back in the day, when I first learned about how to do this business, it was more about sharing the water and doing the demonstration and doing that type of presentation, which is fine. I'm not knocking it. I don't think it's bad. I think it does work well and it's effective. However, it's pretty tough for people to duplicate that method in a fast, accelerated way. And shifting people from health-focused into business is tougher than going business to business. And I've always seen the opportunity with Enagic as a way to help people solve all of the major pain points and major problems in their life. And if I am carrying that identity as the one who has the golden goose, the one who has access to what everybody else desires, and be able to show them how to get that and break that down, then we get the results that we're producing now in GPM many years later. So my question to you is, if I was to ask you, what is your identity when it comes to this business? How do you see yourself in the sales process when you speak to somebody, right? Jonah mentioned at the beginning of this call that if we build enough value, the people aren't going to care the price of the products or the price of the opportunity itself, which is true. But even more importantly than that, it all starts with our identity. So if I was to ask you right now, who you see yourself as when you are talking with people, when you're showing up offline, online, in person, with your friends, with your network, how do you see yourself right now? Pop it in the chat. So if you're paying attention to the chat, you'll notice that you're getting a lot of different answers, right? We don't have like one unified description of how we see ourselves. And that's why everybody in this chat is most likely getting very different results, because we're going into this opportunity as the only variable, right? The compensation plan is the same for everybody. The products, the science, how it all works is the same for everybody. Mr. Oshiro is Mr. Oshiro for everybody. All of the things that we get access to, from the order processing to the paperwork to the rest of it, is exactly the same and identical for all of us, right? Which is actually the benefit to this company. It's the benefit of direct sales. It's the benefit of this business model. And it's what most of us are attracted to, that we don't have to create, innovate and invent products and do all the traditional business stuff and wearing all the hats and so forth. But because we are the X factor, meaning with our identity being out of alignment, we aren't going to get the results that we desire. So the reason I'm bringing this up, you guys hear me okay? Some people are saying they're cutting. Am I cutting out? Or you can hear me all right? All right. The reason why I'm bringing this up initially is because everything starts from this place. So some of the identity shifts that I've had to make because I had struggles in the early days of this business. I saw myself as a water expert when in reality I'm not. But I thought I had to be. I thought I had to know the science and talk about it and be a product expert and all these things. But in reality, I don't even like science. I'm not a science guy. I don't like chemistry. I don't like all this stuff. It's not my thing. So I was out of alignment with my identity, trying to be someone that I wasn't. And this was causing me a lot of issues, and I wasn't making sales. So I actually ended up shifting into becoming, in my identity, as a professional problem solver, as a consultant. I needed to find out what people were dealing with, what they wanted, asking them powerful questions so they came to realize what it was that they wanted and what it was that they needed. So I needed to shift from this guy who had health problems, who was sharing the water and doing the demo and pretending to be a water expert, and then like expecting people to just all of a sudden duplicate and grow this massive business in my organization, to someone who had a unique set of skills, a professional problem solver who found a business model that was unlike anything else. And once I found out what people wanted and needed, I was able to guide them and present to them the total big picture. And we were one of the first ones to really focus on this back in the day, especially with the younger demographic, the millennials, around giving people what they actually wanted instead of what a lot of people do is like presenting it in a way where you need to be like a water presenter, demo person and whatever. A lot of people don't want that, okay? You can't see me? Are we having technical issues? Can we maybe take the picture off, guys, and just put my face on this call? Is that possible? Anyways, it's a little bit weird, but it's all good. So that's the first thing. So I think you guys need to shift your identity. There we go. It's a little bit better. And then afterwards, your daily habits of how you're showing up in your business is going to be a match to your identity, right? So there's a quote that I really like. This is who I am, so this is what I do. So ultimately, if you were an athlete and you were paid the big bucks professionally as an athlete, there are certain things that athletes do every single day, whether they want to or they don't want to. And that's because that's their identity. So they train, they eat a certain way, they recover, they sleep. And if anybody says anything about it, their identity is so in alignment with being an athlete that it's second nature to them. So if we're going to be a professional network marketer, a professional direct salesperson, a professional online marketer, whichever avenue you resonate with the most, there are certain things that you need to show up as every single day as part of your identity, because that's who you are. So that's what you do. Period. End of story. And if that is out of alignment, that's why a lot of people are not having success, because they have overwhelmed, they're confused, they're not sure where to start. And that's actually all stemming from a lack of clarity around their identity. Pop a 1 in the chat if this is making sense for you and you're starting to get some different perspective on maybe your identity needs a revamp, right? Just like sometimes you see people get a makeover, sometimes you see people they change their appearance, they change the way they dress, they change their environment, they move to another city, and they start to get different results in their life because of their associations and their environment. We can do this at any time. We can choose right now at this particular stage in the company's history, right before the 50th anniversary convention, and we can choose to elevate our identity and say, you know what? I'm tired of doing it the way that I've been doing it because it's not getting me the results that I want. And so therefore, moving forward, I commit to this new identity, which means that I show up every single day in a completely new way. And that's the beginning. That's the first step. The next part that I wanted to share with you guys today is around your posture and your positioning. So once you're clear on your identity and you understand your worth, you understand your value in different situations, different conversations, in the DMs, on the phone, in person. There's so many different ways that we can connect with other human beings and find out how we can be of service and how we can help them by a series of questions that make them open up to us. And we can do this in a leveraged way with systems, trainings, videos, but we can also do it face-to-face. We can do it in the DMs, and we can do it anywhere we go, right? The old school network marketer, the 3-foot rule is any human being around you might need something that you can help them with. So there's that way of doing it, and there's also more streamlined other ways of doing it as well. But posture and positioning is where most of you are probably having the biggest challenges, because when you get into a conversation with someone, the dynamic is off. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that right now. So how many of you are finding that you fall into a situation where you're trying to make friends with prospects, make friends with leads? Put a yes in the chat. If you're trying to make friends with them, you're trying to get to know them, you're trying to do all this stuff. Okay. So what we like to call that is the friend zone, right? We've heard about this when it comes to dating. You're attracted to another woman, and you're trying to date her, and then all of a sudden she puts you in the friend zone, right? And as soon as you get put in the friend zone, what happens? The intimacy, the romance, the dating, off the table. You're now just another friend, and you're disappointed, and it's pretty much a dead end at that point. I think in this business model, it's the same thing. If I have a problem and I want to have a professional person help me and solve it, and that professional person starts to be my friend, then that authority that I thought they had is out the window. So therefore, I'm not going to take things seriously. I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to be coachable. I'm not going to be open-minded to the solutions that they present, because now we're friends, we're homies, we're the same, we're equals. And so a really big mistake that a lot of people make in this business is they try to make a friend rather than keeping the posture and positioning that, listen, I can solve your problem, and I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I'm in control. This is my process. You listen to how I do things, and you're the one who needs what I have. I don't need you. I don't need your money. I don't need to sell you anything. I'm good. Because if this is not in alignment, if you're not the right type of person that I'm looking for, I'm going to move on to the next person. And you have to actually have that posture. And what will happen when you do this is people are going to be more receptive. They're going to follow instructions. They're going to be more professional with you as well. And you're going to get right to the point. Your process is going to be really, really dialed in and tight. And a lot of people are missing this. It's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, very casual. And that's going to hurt a lot of different people. So you need to manage expectations. You need to stick to a process, and you need to show them information in a duplicatable way. So for example, you could have a webinar a pre-recorded training. You could have a YouTube video. You could have a lot of different tools. Like one example I'll share with you is back in the day, I did the Kangen water demo in my house, in my living room. And I got pretty good at it. I enjoyed it. It was lots of fun. I learned from Daniel DiMichele and Bob Gradelli and some of the legends of Enagic. And I loved it, right? I watched it. I'm like, this is so cool. I can do this. So I got my showmanship on. You know what I'm saying? I was all excited. I'm doing the thing. I got my jokes ready to go. And it's the same joke every time. And, you know, we get the laughs and it was great. And what I realized is at the end of the presentation, I would simply ask people, like they were excited, they're leaning forward, they're nodding their head, they're doing a lot of body language that made them seem like they wanted to buy what I was talking about. But at the end, people wouldn't buy. And I was so confused because the whole time I was doing it, I figured they were going to be a yes. And after I was disappointed on multiple occasions, I started asking them, why are they not getting started? And you know what the number one feedback I got from all these people? They can't see themselves doing the demo. They loved the demo. They couldn't see themselves doing the demo. And I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty solid feedback. Like they love the information, they love the water, everything's great. But then when they started to think about, can I do that? Or do I want to do that? Or do I want to do the showmanship thing like Balazs is doing? Nah, I'm good. Crossed arms, they're out. So the business started to not quite work out. So then I decided to change the tool, and instead of doing the demo, which I was good at and I enjoyed, and it worked well, I started to show a video of someone doing the demo. And I think I used Daniel's, I used Bobby's, I used different people. And it was really amazing because I had to do less work all of a sudden. Now I'm standing in the back of the room drinking my water and filling up other people's water, and I would pause the video when the tomato test would happen because that part got really awkward because, you know, Bobby Gradelli and Elvis Stoico were like moaning like, that tomato is really tasty. It was a little bit weird. Everyone's like, what's going on here? And so we paused the video, gave people the real tomato to taste and experience, and then they would make the moaning and groaning sounds in real life. Then we turn the video back on. They would moan. We'd all have a laugh. Yep, that's true. That's funny. We'd continue. And all of a sudden, we went from 1 or 2 people out of 10 to buying to 7 out of 10 buying. Only thing we changed. And so that was the very beginning of us realizing that there are certain things that are effective, that work well, that other people simply can't see themselves as doing. So we started to change the tools that we would use in different ways. It went from YouTube videos to pre-recorded webinars and presentations to all the way to a series of videos that would achieve a different outcome from each video as they went through. So it was very much a self-discovery process of people realizing who they are, what they want, what their goals are, what's holding them back in a non-invasive salesy way. So rather than telling people you need this for these reasons, we asked the question, they pondered and came to their own answer and basically was like, well, I don't have a better way to do what I'm trying to do. This seems like the best thing to do. And that's why our sales are so high, is because we help people find out what it is that they want from within, and then they simply choose to take the next step, and we give them that opportunity. It's not a high pressure sales situation like some people might think out there. So if this is valuable and you're understanding that sometimes what we enjoy about this business is not what's going to duplicate, and having the discernment between the two is very important as a leader to grow a large organization. If that's making sense, pop a 2 in the chat and let me know that this is landing for you. Now, that's awesome. I'm glad you guys are getting value. I'm going to have a quick sip of 9.5 because this is so fun. All right, let's move on to the next part. I got so much I want to share, but I think we're pretty tight on about an hour, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So once we have our identity dialed into what we want to create in this business, right? Like, there is nobody that I know in Enagic who's a 6A 2-3, 2-5, 2-6, high-level ranking people whose identity is out of alignment with being a leader of a large organization. They at all one point decided to lock into that alignment, that they can do it, they will learn, they will lead, they will be in the front, and they will do what's necessary to become that individual. It doesn't happen by accident. The identity is always a match to the outcomes and results that you create. So that's the first step. The second step is posture and positioning and making sure you don't put people in the friend zone and you maintain your worth and your value of why people are coming to you. It doesn't really matter how you found them or how they found you. What matters is you understand how you can serve people and help people. I truly believe in my heart for the last 16 years, but more so the last 11 years that I've been building this business, that there's nothing on the planet that can change someone's life as drastically, as significantly as Enagic can across multiple different areas of your life. I truly believe that. This is such a well-rounded program and company that can solve so many of the major goals and the major pain points and the major problems that people experience in society today, that we need to realize the value and worth of that. You cannot take this lightly. You cannot be pushed around. You cannot play small. You cannot, be offended by someone's opinion when they say it's a scam or they say this and they simply are ignorant to the truth. You cannot let that affect you and then go hide in the corner and cry about it for days or weeks or months and not even try to go serve someone else or help someone else. Because if you are doing that, if you are afraid of rejection, if you are afraid of not making a difference in someone's life, you are confused about the value and worth that you have within yourself, leveraging this company and what Enagic can do for somebody. I have never seen more lives transformed and changed than every single day I log onto my social media and my team is winning. We did $28 million in sales in May. And as you know, Enagic pays out 54% and then another like 16% in bonuses and monthlies and quarterlies and whatever. So that's about $18 million of commissions and bonuses just my team earned in May. Do you think that's life-changing? Do you think that my value as a leader and my value of what we're doing here is out of alignment? Do you think I'm confused? No, man, I literally am in awe and amazement and in pure gratitude that this is possible, that this is real life, that we're able to impact people in this way. You need to lock into this too, because you have that exact same power and potential within yourself. Your identity is just not in alignment with that truth. And once you lock that in, you're going to be off to the races and you're going to absolutely crush it. If that's landing for you, drop a 3 in the chat for me real quick. All right. Amazing. You're my people. I love it. All right. So next step. So we got our identity, we got our posture and positioning. The next step is going to be your daily habits and your income producing activities. Remember that if we are an athlete and we have an identity of an athlete and we're a professional athlete, there are certain things that professional athletes do the same way you brush your teeth in the morning, the way you make your bread, some of us make our own bread, the way you make your bed, the way you drink your 9.5 every single day religiously and you always get that gallon in and so on and so on. Athletes do the same thing. So in our business, it's essentially the same exact process of habits that we need to develop. Now, there's basically 2 major categories on the business side, and then there's the personal development side. So what happens a lot of the time is that people will do the work, right? So they'll try to talk to the leads, or they'll try to do the sales calls, or they'll try to do the demo, or they're doing the actions of the work, but they're not getting the results. They're not getting the sales. And that is a big red flag that you have personal inner work that you need to handle and focus on. So how I personally look at it is that personal growth or self-development is a lot of the time over complicated by people, where I spend all of their time reading and listening to podcasts or attending seminars or going to events. So they're keeping themselves very busy, but they're not taking action. And they keep feeling like something is wrong with them. Something's got to be wrong with me, man. I can't figure this thing out. It's not working. So there's this like fulfilling prophecy that something is wrong with you, you're not enough, you aren't a great leader, you suck at sales. It's a reinforcement of beliefs that you keep confirming, and you keep thinking it's something outside of yourself. So you got to go here, you got to go here. And people are these like personal development junkies, right? They've read every single book on Amazon and listened to every audiobook, and they bought every course and everything, and they're still nowhere in life. And it's like, well, it's not adding up. Then on the flip side, there's the people that just take messy action and barely do any personal development. They just keep doing it, but they're doing it incorrectly. So they're posting on their Facebook or they're posting on their social media, and they're getting zero traction, zero leads, zero sales, and they're frustrated, right? So a lot of the time it's these extremes. What I've noticed is that when you're doing the work and it's not converting for you, then you got to go back to the inner work and figure out why. Now, the most common reasons why people aren't succeeding is actually a terrible relationship with money. They have a terrible relationship with money. They have horrible beliefs around money. They think money makes them evil. They think money makes them bad, or they think their self-worth isn't high enough in order to sell an perceived expensive product. And obviously, like Jonah mentioned, when the price goes up, this gets exposed with way more people because an increase in the price of the product makes their self-worth take a bigger hit, and they get even less results. So what I believe everybody needs to do when it comes to personal growth and personal development is actually have self-awareness. Now, self-awareness is something that we don't naturally all have. People that are self-aware, it's hard for us and all of you who are self-aware to fully understand this. But self-awareness, in my opinion, is a skill. Self-awareness is something we can practice and improve on, where we ask ourselves the questions to make us realize what area of our life we actually need to focus on and dedicate ourselves to and become disciplined in. So let me give you an example. So you're sitting here and you're spinning your wheels and you're not getting sales, and you think you're doing the right stuff and you're reading the books, and there's this whole pattern of like, but I'm doing what they say. I'm following the training. I'm coming to the monthly kickoff call. I'm doing the demo, and I'm not getting sales, man. It's not working. Typically, what I notice about these individuals is that they have a lack of self-awareness. They would rather tell themselves that they're doing everything than simply ask themselves a question of like, what am I missing? What am I not doing right? Who am I not asking? Maybe I need to journal. Maybe I need to get my thoughts out there. Maybe I need to take a step back and observe myself. How am I actually showing up day to day? What are the areas of my life I'm not focusing on? And often what you'll notice is you have some negative vices. Maybe you're smoking dope. Maybe you're sleeping in. Maybe you're drinking too much. Maybe you got some kind of porn addiction. Maybe you got some other thing going on. And it's like, you don't connect the two. Like, this is actually the problem holding you back, but it's actually over here that unlocks what you're trying to create. So self-awareness is the key. So why I'm bringing this up is because you need to recognize that only you have the answers to the kingdom. You have the answers to your own unlocking of the next step. Your mentor doesn't have the answers. I don't have the answers. Nobody has the answers. Only you can recognize, hey, I have the self-awareness to know that I have to improve in this area, and then that personal growth needs to be focused there. You start to improve, have a transformation, and then your business results start to be a mirror and match. So a lot of the times, we are simply not willing to do the uncomfortable work on ourselves that is maybe not related to our business directly, and therefore we're not getting the results that we want. So find out what that is for you. And if you're honest, brutally honest with yourself, you can probably figure this out by tomorrow morning or maybe instantaneously on this call where you go, you know what? I've been avoiding this for a long time, but the truth is this one thing is what's holding me back. And you cut that out and you focus on that, everything will start to unlock for you. Now, to be a little bit more practical in what I'm saying, we need to look at solving your most important problem as the priority. So here's an example. I asked you all at the beginning of this call, what is your biggest challenge that you want to solve? Your singular biggest problem that you think you need to solve. And everybody had a different answer, right? We can scroll back and there's lots of stuff. When we look at a sales process in business, one thing has to come first. You cannot rearrange the sequence. It won't work. So for example, you can't close a sale if you don't have a lead, right? Does all make sense for you guys? So you literally have to go in a certain sequence. So sometimes people get upset. I'm not making sales. I'm not making money. Well, do you have any leads? Well, no. So really what you need to focus on is who do you need to become in order to start generating leads? And there are a million different ways to generate leads. So what specific way would you like to learn how to generate leads? Because everybody in Enagic does things their own way. So if you're trying to do all of them, you're probably getting nowhere. If you decide on one marketing channel, whether it's organic, whether it's video, whether it's written, whether it's a podcast, whether it's, there's so many ways. There's paid traffic, there's Facebook and Instagram, there's YouTube, there's Google, there's Craigslist, there's a million different ways to generate leads. But if you decide to choose that, that's what you need to master and keep learning and get rid of everything else, right? Sometimes I see my team posting on their Facebook or something, hey, check out my new book, right? And they're just reading some book that just came out on Amazon or, Chapters or whatever bookstore releases new books. And I'm like, what does that book have anything to do with where you are in your life right now based on what I know about you that you're struggling with? That book has nothing to do with nothing. So why are you reading that book? The book that you should be reading is solving the most obvious next step that you're struggling with. Until you solve the problem, nothing else. And what's crazy about this is that it doesn't take that long for you to figure it out. Maybe a month or 2 or 3 months of studying one specific topic, figuring it out. If you didn't have leads and all of a sudden now you're generating a lot of leads, more leads than you know what to do with, and then maybe what you realize is that you're not pre-qualifying those leads. So that's the next skill that you got to learn. And then you learn how to do the pre-qualifying. And then the next step is like, how do I talk to these people, get them on the phone? Maybe I'm not able to do that. Master that, focus on that, study that. Then you get them on the phone. Then you're not getting them to say yes, or they're full of objections and they're not buying. Then you study that. And you keep going through this process until eventually you're studying leadership, you're studying systems, you're studying duplication. And this is the lifelong pursuit that we're all doing. And if you actually scale this out long enough, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, there's no reason why you can't be a 6A2-3, a 6A2-5, or a 6A2-8. Can I get a 4 in the chat if this is landing for you? It's not that complicated. It's not that difficult. But if you got a chicken with your head cut off and ooh, what's that? And shiny object syndrome and this thing and that leader's doing that and that leader's doing that, you're literally going to be nowhere in 5 years. You're going to be exactly in the same place. So you have to go through that process. All right. And the final thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is how you can actually measure your progress. Okay. So because we're in business and business requires you understanding numbers, business, you have to know your numbers. And a lot of people are simply oblivious to their numbers. All right. So I'll give you one example of this. When I first got my head screwed on somewhat correctly compared to how I grew up being just a lost kid, I started doing door-to-door sales many years back, 16 years ago or something like that, 18 years ago. And when I was doing door-to-door sales, I needed to understand the numbers, and the numbers had to go in different categories. So the first category was the number of doors that I knocked, because this measured my level of action. And in Enagic, it's the same thing. You need to basically be able to break down how do you measure your daily action in the business. You have to do it with numbers. So if you're sending, DMs to cold prospects on social media to start conversations, to get to know people, to generate leads that way, outbound marketing, then you need to actually track how many people did you contact this today? 10, 15, 20, 50, 100, whatever the number is. Track that in a notebook, track it in a spreadsheet, track it on your phone, have the numbers. The next question, or the next category that I learned, was the number of doors that opened, right? I could knock on doors all day. If they don't open, who am I going to sell to? The door doesn't have money, so that's not going to work. So I needed the door to open. So I had to track the difference between the doors that I knocked and the doors that open. So in this particular case, you might be sending out DMs or generating leads. You need to track what the next step is. So now, do you have a conversation with this person? Do you book a call with them? Do you send them a landing page, a webinar, a video? So you can actually see that out of the 100 people, this many took the next step, okay? So that was the second category. Then the third category was, did I talk to the decision maker? Because as you know, with a lot of people that we're dealing with in sales with Enagic, you might be talking to the one individual in the relationship who maybe doesn't have that final authority for whatever reason to make a buying decision, and you're wasting your time, and you got to repeat yourself, and so on and so on. So it's always really powerful for you to know, are you the decision maker, or do you make decisions together with maybe your spouse or partner? And if that's the case, let's have this conversation, all of us at the same time, to be respectful of your time and my time. So that's the next category. And then finally, the last category is basically how many people purchased from you. Now, why this is so powerful is because we shy away from the no's and the rejection and the fear of people judging us or saying certain things or whatever. But if we actually knew that for every 20 messages we send, we get one great opportunity to get on a phone call, and every 5 phone calls we get an Enagic sale, then we can literally decide how much money we would like to make in this business. And we can reverse engineer those numbers and simply pick a number. $20,000 per month means I got to sell this many Enagic products, which means I got to do this many calls, which means I got to send this many messages, and you have a $20,000 month, and you know exactly what you need to do that month if you know your numbers. Now, the other caveat to this is that your numbers should always improve over time. So if initially you start your business as a 1A, you have no background in sales, then it might take you 200 messages to get one opportunity, which might seem discouraging. But I promise you the next sale or the next opportunity won't be 200 again, because you're going to learn, you're going to improve. It might go to 150, then 100, then 50, then 30, and eventually maybe 1 in 10, 1 in 5 people you contact, you're getting an opportunity to help them get started, get the products, and make a commission. And then you can pretty much decide how much you want to earn in this business. And we're not even talking about duplication. We're not talking about group sales. We're not talking about bonuses. We're just talking about what we can control and focus on. All right. So that's a simplified way of looking at knowing your numbers based on what you can control, which is your own energy, your own efforts to send messages, to reach out, to contact people, because that's taking initiative. That's having an attack mentality. Like, listen, I have a vision. I have a dream. I have children to support. I want to live my life in this particular way. Am I going to sit around and just wait for people to come to me? Or am I going to go and find people? Am I going to go do something I can control? So a lot of the time, this type of way of marketing is frowned upon because it's not sexy, and you might get rejected and you get ghosted and people don't respond to you. But guys, listen, if you believe in your worth, you're aligned with your identity, you understand your positioning and your posture, and you know you have a problem-solving, amazing golden goose such as Enagic, then what are you worried about? Who cares what people think, man? What if that person that you're reaching out to is actually hoping, wishing, and praying for someone to contact them? You know, it's just a reframe in your perspective, and it can change everything. So obviously we can scale these exact same numbers with ads as well. We can understand, how much we are spending per day on our ad spend. Then we can understand our clicks, our cost per click, then our cost per lead, then our cost per acquisition, and we can actually look at how much we need to spend in order to get a certain number. And this is a more empowered, scalable way of building the business, because you put $1 into the ATM and you can actually calculate that you get $5 back. And if you had a magic ATM where you can put in $1 and it spits out $5 all day long, how many $1 bills would you put in the ATM? So once you know your numbers when it comes to ads, that's quite literally what you have. You have a money printing machine that you can engineer this process. And not only that, with a few clicks of a button and some further knowledge, you can scale your ads, which then produces even more revenue and produces more sales and helps more people and all the rest of it. So that's pretty much the training that I wanted to share with you guys. And then finally, I wanted to just mention one more thing about Japan and setting goals. So what I've noticed with people that are growing their business, that are leveling up in rank from convention to convention year after year after year, is that they're setting goals. You know what I mean? Like, there are certain individuals in the company that are just very passive with the results that they create. They're just like, meh, however many sales we make is great, is fine. There are very few individuals that are actually going, look, these are the results we got this month. What do we got to do to get the same results next month and increase it by 5%, 10%, and so on. And so in my community, we're always talking about having a 10% goal month over month on growth. So that's what we're always aiming for. Do we hit it every month? No. Did we hit it last month? Yes, we had 30% growth month over month, and I'm averaging 3% month over month compounded for the last 5 years. So we're basically doing 30 to 40% compounded growth every single year because we have a culture of setting goals and not taking our foot off the gas where we have a big month or we have a great month and then we go, let me take a month off and sit on the beach and relax. It's like, no, we built this foundation, like Jonah said at the beginning of the call, and then we go back to 0 sales on the first and we build it back up again, aiming for a 10% growth. So my question to you is whether you are a 1A, a 2A, 3A, 4A, all the way up to a high rank, are you actually setting goals for your organization? Are you setting the intention that we're going to go out there and produce this many units and then breaking that down and reversing it down to, okay, if you're a 6A, this is how many you're responsible for with your team. If you're a 6A2, this is how many you're responsible for. Because that's how you need to lead a large organization, in my opinion, for the continued scaling and growth to occur. All right. And finally, what I was going to say about Japan is this is the Super Bowl, guys. You probably already know this. I know that all the top leaders have been promoting this and encouraging you to be there. And I made a post in my private community about a week ago, and I just wanted to share a little bit about that before I finish up this talk today. And it was around the idea that when the convention first gets announced, I think it was in October or November or something like this in 2023, they announced the convention. They started to prepare us for tickets to be sold. I remember the unanimous excitement, the unanimous energy from everybody. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. We're all going to Japan. We're going to Okinawa. And even the tickets sold out really, really quickly. The first batch of tickets, right? They sold out in days or something like that. I can't remember. And as we get closer and closer and closer to the event, the 2-3 months before, and especially the last 4 to 6 weeks, people start to drop out. People start to really get caught up in their current reality, their current circumstances, the bills, the debt, the work, the kids, the excuses, the parents, all the stuff, right? And as you know, life is challenging for all of us in different ways. We're all human beings having a human experience. Nobody has it easy. We are all dealing with things all the time. I'm currently a father to a beautiful 3.5-year-old toddler, amazing daughter, and I got my hands full, man. I just got one child, and I got another one on the way in October, and I'll have my hands full as well. It comes with its own challenges, as all you parents understand. But what I've noticed is that you cannot retreat. You cannot pull out. You cannot settle, because that is the opportunities in our lives to actually grow. This is the opportunity in our life for us to break through rather than break down, right? And so I've seen people go, yeah, I'm going to hit 6A between January and May, and then I'll go to the convention. And then as it got closer, you're maybe a 4A, not quite a 6A. And you know what? I'll go next time. I'm not a 6A, I'll go next time. Or I'm going to make a couple direct sales, and then I'll use that money, and I'll use that money for my flight, and I'll use that money for the ticket or the hotel or whatever. I'm here to tell you guys that the most transformational opportunity that all of you will ever have is in actually getting to the event. Everybody thinks the transformation will happen at the event. The transformation occurs when you commit and decide to go to the event and then figure out all the obstacles and challenges and adversities to still get to the event. And you need that event more than the leaders do. You know what I'm saying? Like our top leaders in Enagic are going there to pour into you. They're not going there to like get the Holy Spirit to go build their business. They don't need that. They're past that point. You guys need it. The people that are early on, the people with the excuses, you guys need to be there, okay? So no matter what circumstances are currently going on in your life, it is a test. It is an initiation. It's supposed to be this way, right? If it was easy, everybody would be 682-3. If it was easy, everybody would be at the convention. You got to find a way to make it happen and get there. And because of you finding a way to make it happen is why and how you will be a new person and you will be transformed. I promise you that, okay? And so ultimately, all I wanted to say is that this is the Super Bowl. It's the biggest event ever. We're celebrating such a monumental achievement with Enagic, and so many of us have been carrying this company for like 10, 20, 30 years and so on. And of course, Mr. Oshiro from day one. And I truly believe that there's a changing of the guard, there's a passing of the torch, there's a massive, massive opportunity for the people who are going to be in the arena that day to carry this company forward with our children and their children and the legacies that are coming after us. So I hope that you do not take this opportunity and waste it and make an excuse all because of your current circumstances. Make your decision based on your dreams. Make your decision on where you see yourself in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. That beautiful, abundant life of freedom, that prosperous life of changing other people's lives, making a global impact, and truly living life the way that you deserve. That's why you need to make your decision. Borrow the money, take the loan, sell the car, sell your couch. Whatever you got to do, it doesn't matter because all of that will come back tenfold after you are a new person and transform from the event. So that's all I wanted to share with you guys today. Be respectful of your time. I hope you got some value. If you did, drop a 1 in the chat. If you learned something new, if you're inspired, if you're activated, and if you're ready to do whatever it takes to go to Okinawa for the 50th anniversary, if you enjoy my energy, if you enjoy the way that I teach and talk, I do have a podcast as well. Some of you might know that, some of you don't. It's called The Diamond Life Mentor, available on all streaming platforms and so on, and podcast, Apple, Spotify, whatever. So feel free to check that out. I got about 70 episodes there you can listen to. And I can't wait to meet you guys. If you see me at the convention, come say hello, take a photo, shake my hand, hear your story. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of Enagic, and to be the top producing team as a Dash 6 is just extra special. So anybody on this call who's a part of my organization, I love you. Thank you. None of this will be possible without all of us working together. And thank you all to the corporate team as well for putting on these events and all the hard work that you guys do. I'm sure you guys had your hands full the past week with all the records that are being set. And there's Mr. Daniel. Good to see you, Daniel. Awesome to have you out here, man. Thanks for all the inspiration over the years as well, Daniel. You've really helped me become successful with Enagic. So thanks for all you've done as well.